Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.
Yes, good morning everyone.
Good morning, sir.
So, how are you, Pravesh?
Sir, I'm not well still.
Still you're not well. You need to take care. Okay, 6th June 2022. So, yes, the Hindu newspaper analysis, and before starting the lecture, let me remind you that yesterday there was prelims examination. Yes, many of you may have seen the paper, and from that you may have understood the importance of reading newspaper. At the same time, whatever we are learning here in the classroom, that is of also relevance, and that we have understood from yesterday's paper. So many questions could be related to last 18 months the Hindu newspaper that we have been doing in the classroom. Okay, so we will come up with that analysis also in this week, and that will help you understand the relevance of what we are learning here in the classroom. Okay, yes, so yes, it is Monday, so we are having Monday motivation story on every Monday so that you remain motivated throughout your preparation of this week. So the story is related to anger, and why it is relevant in GS4 paper ethics part. Almost now in last 4-5 years, twice question was asked related to anger. Okay, so emotional intelligence, anger, control of anger, and let's say temper is an important aspect related to civil services and in general the common people, right? So the story is like there was a boy with very high temper, and he's not able to control the anger or his temper, and because of that outburst of temper or anger, he's having, let's say, hurting his friends at school, peers. So many times there is violence, and yes, one day the father of that child asked the child to or give the strategy to control the anger. So what he says to the child, that every time you feel the anger, what you do is you hold up one particular screw in the wooden fence of our house. So the boy agrees, and he feels that one day I will control my anger with the help of this father's strategy. So he start doing this, and slowly over the period of time, the number of instances of anger reduced. Okay, so he can observe that the number of holes that are there in the fence because of this screw. Now the day arrives that the child is not having any anger issue. Okay, then he comes to the father and says that yesterday I have not let's say faced any kind of anger issue. Then the father starts saying that here onwards you count these days. Every day, if you have, let's say, no anger issue now, here onwards, you remove one hole or one screw from that fence every day. So the boy starts doing that also, and over the period of time, all holes or screws from that fence are removed, and the child comes to the father saying that for so many days I have controlled the anger. Now the father says that look at the fence. And the child is saying that the fence is not same as earlier. The fence is not the same as earlier. There are so many holes. Now it is not looking the same. So the father explains to the child that this is same to what you say to the people or do to the people in anger. Whenever you say something in anger, that, let's say, leaves a scar on the relationship with that person, on the, we can say, trust with that person. And this is, we can say that it takes lot of time, or we can say that that scar may not be, the damage is permanent here. Okay, so that's why we need to control our anger. The same is case with all of us in our day-to-day life. We need to control our temper. This is natural feeling. See, it is one of the emotion. Anger is one of the emotion for the human being like any other animal. But we need to control that anger. We need to control that emotion. And this is what we call it as emotional intelligence. We have to vent out the anger at right place, in the right manner, on the right people. This is what Aristotle says. This is what Aristotle says, that any person can be angry. Any person can be angry, but to be angry at the right person at right time, in the right manner, is, we can say, quality of person with good character. ऐसा नहीं कि आप एंगर करना ही नहीं है. अगर कुछ गलत हो रहा है आपके सामने तो आपको तो गुस्सा आएगा ना, और वहाँ पे गुस्सा करने की ज़रूरत है, बट इन लेट्स से प्रोपोर्शनेट मैनर, इन राइट मैनर. ठीक है, तो दिस इज व्हाट वी शुड बी अंडरस्टैंडिंग इन आवर लाइफ ऑल्सो. वी शुड प्रैक्टिस दिस. फाइन. Okay, so let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important developments. Look at the first page. On the bottom side, world's first fishing cat census done in Chilika Lake. Okay, so yes, from environment section, prelims examination, we will try to find out about this census and the basics of this particular species, fishing cat. Okay, then there is one news, 10% ethanol blending goal met. This is let's say before the target of November month this year, and we have advanced the target of 20% by, recently हमने discuss किया ना,
2025.
very good, 2025. Earlier that was 2030, and that is advanced to 2025 recently by the government. So here what we will do, we will also try to find out the details of National Policy on Biofuels 2018, because almost 2 times question was asked in prelims examination on biofuels and this policy. Okay, so that's why it is of interest for UPSC examination in prelims examination. Also you should understand, whenever question is asked in the prelims examination on certain topic, that is again for we can say it is kind of fodder for us for mains examination also. So we can expect the question in mains examination on this policy. Okay, so details of that we will cover in today's session. Fine. Now come to page number 6 directly. IPEF will not discuss, because 2-3 articles in last 1 or 2 weeks we have discussed after that meeting happened and this initiative was launched. So there is repetition, and we have discussed this initiative now 2 to 3 times. Several articles we have discussed. We talked about this initiative, trade initiative. So we will not discuss that. Those who are watching this video for the first time, let me tell you that the articles, all articles in every day's newspaper is not at all feasible to discuss. You have time limits with yourself also and with us also here. ठीक है, डिस्कशन जो है ब्रीफ होना चाहिए, बट लेट मी अश्योर यू दैट all topics in the subsequent lectures are covered. We want to cover diverse topics. Okay, so of course we'll try that the major topics are covered and they are not left out. Fine. On left hand side bottom, boost for boosters. Why this article is there? Yesterday the government or the regulatory authority has given approval to this Corbavax as a booster dose, and this is first such vaccine for, we can say, heterologous shot. That means those who have earlier had Covaxin and Covishield as vaccines, okay, 2 vaccines, they can also receive Corbavax. This is first such vaccine which is, we can say, heterologous vaccine, booster shot. Okay, with that context the article is written, but that is fine, just for awareness. In prelims examination now UPSC is asking questions related to COVID vaccines. Yesterday we have seen in prelims examination there was question related to vaccines. They asked about Covishield, Covaxin, and yes, they Sputnik V. So basically now UPSC is asking about questions related to COVID. Okay, so we need to have follow up on such developments. Now, important article on page number 7 written by Arun Maira, former planning commission member. People, not courts, shape norms. Now, this article is relevant to our GS2 paper, Polity and Governance, also essay paper, GS1 paper, Society, and in general, let's say, discussion on democracy. Right. So the context here is that from time to time our Prime Minister and other ministers are saying that the people of the country have trust in the courts. We have trust in the courts that the court will resolve all the issues related to temples and all these things that are going on at present, the conflicts. Okay. So with that context, the article is written, and the writer is saying that the institutions are not the core of democracy. Rather, the people and social norms, they are basically driving force behind the democracy. We'll understand, we'll find out good arguments are mentioned here in this article. Now, on page number 8, the status of EVTOL soon to be reality, question mark. So, earlier when this was in news, we basically learn about what is EVTOL, that is electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Science and tech as well as economy part. Infrastructure, or we can say modes of transport, urban mobility, all these aspects, it is relevant to GS3 paper economy part. Okay, so this article in detail talks about what is this EVTOL, then the technical specifications they are talking here. Along with that, what is the prospects at present, or we can say value of market, and along with that, what are the developments in this particular market that are going on across the world. Okay, so yes, we will talk about this from GS3 paper economy part. Okay, now come to page number 12 directly. Rivers facing heavy pollution, Center for yes, what is this? CSE, the Center for Science and Environment. Center for Science and Environment. So this is research body for ecology and environment in the country, and it is saying that almost all rivers are facing heavy pollution, especially of heavy metals. They are talking. Out of 33 monitoring stations in the Ganga, 10 had high levels of contamination. In about 1/4 of stations which are spread across 117 rivers tributaries, high levels of 2 or more toxic metals were reported. Basically, you should be aware about what is the situation of riverine pollution in the country. Whenever question is related to river pollution or water pollution, you give reference to such studies in your answer. Okay, there are different types of pollution, and every year one question will be related to pollution. Every year one question in mains examination will be related to pollution, because that is syllabus topic. Okay, last year they asked about air pollution guidelines released by WHO, comparing with the 2005 guidelines. They asked the comparison. This was covered in the Hindu newspaper. CSAT 2 passage is there. Even in GS prelims examination paper also they asked again repeated question on those guidelines. So now thrice such let's say reference is there. So I am telling you that every year UPSC asked one question on different types of pollution: air pollution, water pollution, sound pollution, noise pollution, we can say soil pollution or land pollution is there, radioactive pollution is there. So different types of pollution are there. So prepare some kind of facts. ठीक है, उससे रिलेटेड 1-2 फैक्ट्स रेडी रखना है हमें. ठीक है. Yes, on bottom side the interview with coal minister. Never again will there be coal shortage. Now in last 6 months twice such coal shortage was observed in October, November month, and now the last month, May month, twice such coal shortage happened, and the chances of blackout, or we can say power outages in the country happened. Now at present, let's say the government is asking for import of coal to the different coal fired thermal power plants and state governments. All this fiasco is going on. So the answers are straight away from the coal minister himself. So of course it is view of government. So we can use that in our answers. Okay, what the government is talking about this on this issue, right? GS3 paper economy part. Now on page number 13, bottom side, China marks new space milestone. The astronauts dock at Tiangong space station, which will be operational by the year end. Okay, so yes, from science and tech and international developments, this is also important. See, in international developments in space sector, they are relevant to prelims examination. Fine. So let us go in detail. First one, people not codes shape norms. Also, those students who are not aware about, let's say, yesterday's paper. So yesterday night we have uploaded geography and environment section discussion or answer key also. So you can watch that video and you will understand the answers of those questions if you are not able to find out the answers. Okay, in detail explanation of all prelims questions examination will be also uploaded this week. Yes, so this article is written with the context that at present in India and in US, which are, we can say, the biggest or largest democracy and oldest democracy, several issues are going on which threatens the democracy. Okay, so for example in India, several, let's say, communal issues are going on, okay, related to, we can say, masjid or mosques and temple controversy. Okay, earlier it was in Ayodhya, now in Varanasi or even in Mathura, right? So these developments are happening, and let's say the leaders of the country or the government, they are saying that they have faith in courts. So basically they are not themselves taking the decision here. Okay, so government is not taking decision, legislature is not taking decision, rather they are depending on courts, one of the institution in democracy. In democracy, two important, let's say, institutions are there, and they are given the powers and authorities and descriptions in the constitution of the country. Which are these two? Assemblies, or we can say legislator, and second is courts, independent courts. Okay, and they have different powers mentioned in the constitution itself, and through checks and balances they work in a democracy. Now, some facts you should know. Pew Research Center surveys and Global State of Democracy Report 2021 reveal that 2/3 of the citizens in democratic countries, including US, do not trust institutions such as elected assemblies and courts to represent their will. This is very, stark finding, we can say, unique finding. In general, you can ask in our society, if we talk about, let's say, about the government or the courts, there is some kind of skeptical view. They know about the judicial delays. They know about, let's say, the corruption in the government. And because of that, what is happening is there is, we can say, pessimistic view, skeptical view towards these institutions. You can give reference to this research study. Then, the constitution defines the institutions which required to maintain democracy, principally elected assemblies and independent courts, and they work in a democracy. However, we should understand how these principles in the democracy work out, like conceptions of freedom, liberty, human rights are not cast in a stone. They are always works in the progress. Okay, so although these principles are mentioned in the constitution, do we have them implemented in a letter and spirit throughout the country to each and every person? Whether we have liberty, freedom, and we can say human rights are upheld throughout the country for each and every person? No, although it is guaranteed in the constitution. Also, the concepts of liberty, freedom, they are evolving. For example, you can take the example of US. When US became independent in 1787, basically only men received the right to vote. And the substantial part of the country, I would say that more than 50%, women and those we can say racial minorities, they did not receive the right to vote. So how we can say that the liberty and freedom, although it is mentioned in the constitution, is upheld? It is not. Okay, so you can give such examples and explain here that they are evolving concept. So several, let's say, civil rights movement happened in 20th century, then the right to vote and equal rights were extended to Afro-American, let's say, communities also. So this is how it is evolving. Now in 21st century, liberty concept got wider one. Now we are, let's say, recognizing the liberty and rights of this community also. Right, we are trying to talking about women and gender equality. We are focusing on in 21st century, like Me Too movement is there, or we can talk about, let's say, the policies and programs brought out by the government for gender equality, especially in last 20 years, right? So there is focus on now the wider elaborative interpretation of liberty here. Then the will of the people changes as ideas of human rights and liberties evolve. This is what we should understand here. The liberty or these ideas are not rigid, inscribed on the stone, rather they are work in progress always. And we don't know in 22nd century what will be the situation of these ideas. Okay, so it is ever evolving, we can say. So yes, institutions are the means with which the societies realize their aspirations. Such kind of statements we should write in our essay paper. Okay, now we all know that institutions are representatives or represent the will of the people. Through institutions, basically the people try to realize their aspirations. For example, 5 yearly elections in the country. Now what happens? Basically that is nothing but the will of the people. Okay, and when the people are elected and they form the government, they implement the will of the people, right? So basically institutions are focusing on through institutions through which the societies realize their aspirations. Okay, so this is true, but the constitutions, codes and these institutions are not all that democracy needs to function. Some other things are also required, or more important things are also required for a democracy to function, and that is, first thing you should know, social norms are the fundamental drivers of the institutions. Social norms are the fundamental drivers of the institutions, and here when we talk about social norms, we should talk about government. Listen to the will of people. What people want to say, what people want from the government needs to listen to the people. Okay, then only democracies work. Then only democracies work. If the government becomes despotic, that is, it is not listening to the people, then democracies do not work. Okay, institutions may be working, but democracy overall will not work if the government is not listening to the people. What we observed during the farmers' protests, farmers' law protest in Delhi. Okay, so this was the situation. Second thing we should understand is that the people should also listen to each other. What we are lacking at present in the country is this one also. So there are some kind of divisions in the country on the basis of, we can say that, religion, region, caste and all these things. And because of that, people do not want to listen what other people want to say here. Are you getting that? In democracy, this is very important. Yes, in a democracy, we can say democracy is by descent. Democracy is by descent. That means all people have right to say what they want to say. Okay, the other people may not agree to that. Okay, so this is basically democracy. What we say that I agree to disagree. This is democracy. I agree to disagree. ठीक है. So this is not happening in the country, and people are fighting with each other, and they are not trying to listen to each other here. Both aspects are very important for democracy, to strengthen the democracy in the country. India's beauty is its diversity. We say that unity in diversity is our strength, but to ensure democracy in such kind of diverse country, when this is not happening, is very difficult. Okay, despite of strong institutions. Therefore, we can say that democracy's essence is right of diverse people to live as equal. This is also very important statement. Democracy's essence is right of diverse people to live as equals. Right, so all people in the country, like in India, suppose the people from South India, people from North India, Northeast India, of course there is ethnic diversity, there is linguistic diversity, there is racial diversity, but despite of this inequality, or not inequality, we will say unequal nature of the people, but they are Indians and the rights are given to them, so they needs to be treated as equal. Okay, on the basis of gender, again we can talk about women, LGBTQ, again they have right to live as equal. Understood? So very important, you read this article by yourself also, because whenever I say it is irrelevant to essay paper, basically these articles needs to be read by yourself. It will help you in writing essay. ठीक है? The status of EVTOL soon to be reality. Yes. Now this is important for both prelims and mains examination. Electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. It was in news. Why? Because our aviation minister Mr. Scindia had said that this will be soon reality in India. Okay, that's why it was in news. Yes, this aircraft is one that uses electric power to hover, take off and land vertically. Okay, hover means एक ही जगह पे वो रुकना. It is staying at one place in air. That is hovering, we can say. Then take off and land vertical direction. At present, yes, the helicopter is there. Okay, that can land vertically and take off vertically, right? But these are, we can say that electrically powered, and comparatively they will be smaller also. Okay, and they will be able to hover, and it will be more, we can say, suitable for urban transport, because helicopters are useful for long distance transport especially, and they use, we can say, fossil fuels. They are not powered by electric power at present. Yes. Now most of the eVTOLs use what is called as distributed electric propulsion technology. Now this can be asked in prelims examination. The technology that is used. Okay, so distributed electric propulsion technology, which means integrating a complex propulsion system with airframe. There are multiple motors for various functions to increase efficiency and also to ensure safety. This is what the multiple motors for various function, distributed propulsion. Okay, then it is considered as runway independent technology solution for globe's transport needs. Of course, the runway is not required here, only we can say the pad or particular area is required for vertical takeoff and landing. Then they are noise free, zero carbon footprint, electric power is there, and more affordable comparatively compared to helicopter, and that's why they are being considered as third wave in aerial revolution. Third wave, what was first? Commercial aeroplanes, second helicopters, and third being considered as this one. Okay, now what is the value of market at present of this particular segment? It is at present in 2021 as $8.5 million. We are talking about a global market, and it is expected to grow at $30 million by 2030. and the demand will be on account of green energy that is being highlighted at present, electric power, then noise free aircrafts, cargo carrying concepts, and need for new modes of transport in urban areas due to congestion. Right, so due to congestion and the traffic problems are there, land acquisition issues are there, so land availability is not there. That's why the air mode that is being explored. Now, what are the developments in powering of this eVTOLs? Let's say the eVTOLs adopt depends on battery technology and the limits of onboard electric power. Now, the main concern or challenge is battery technology at present. The storage facilities and let's say the density of the energy that can be stored in the batteries. So the more density or more sophisticated battery technology, we can say it will be helpful. At the same time, the industry experts are also questioning use of only batteries and are looking at hybrid technology. Hybrid technology will use blend of both electric and the fossil fuels also simultaneously, or hydrogen fuel. Okay, so such kind of let's say hybrid technology can be used. At the same time, there is even one that uses gas powered generator that powers small aircraft engine and in turn charges the battery system also. So different kinds of let's say power, or let's say the fuels are being explored here to power these eVTOLs. Then what are the challenges involved here? The challenges involved first is, we can say, issues related to safety, concerns related to safety, we can say. First one, in case of power plant or rotor failure, first one. Then aircraft protection from cyber attacks is another area of focus. These are automated, largely they are automated, and that is another concern. The third area is navigation and flight safety and the use of technology when operating in difficult terrain, unsafe operating environment and bad weather. This is also true. In urban areas, there can be bad weather. The topography aspect is there, mountainous area may be there. So yes, what safety measures that are required in such areas so that any accident or untoward event do not happen.
Even sir, one more. In India, we have the 4 seasons now, sir. Every season, they need to adopt each and every season. So otherwise, the vehicle will not adaptable to travel.
Yes, of course. That's why we are talking about the bad weather here. Bad weather condition and difficult terrain. That is, we can say, main concern. It is same concern for helicopter also. Okay, same concern for airplanes also. So,
but helicopter is the only to bad weather, sir. But it will adapt to each and every season, sir.
It will adapt, but again, safety issues we are talking. What happened when our CDS died in that accident?
Yes, sir. Only the
Bad weather and difficult terrain. Right. So again, we can say that if after so many years of developments in the helicopters, such accidents happens, then what about this one? This is the new technology, right? And that's why the certification and regulation is important. And at present, in 2 countries, UK and US, Federal Aviation Administration and UK civil authorities, they are exploring the possibility of regulating and providing certification, especially for safety concern. Okay, so this industry is flourishing and different companies are coming up for prototypes of these eVTOLs. So if it wants to be commercialized in the market, then it requires some kind of certification from the authorities. Regulation is important, especially for safety concerns. At present in India, it is at nascent stage. But yes, the industry wants that government should regulate it. Okay, regulatory authorities in India should formulate regulations for pilotless vehicles, then airworthiness certification and the need for pilot's license, implementing efficient energy management systems, onboard sensors, collision detection systems. ये सारी चीज़ें हेलीकॉप्टर और एयरक्राफ्ट्स में भी होता है. Right.
Compared to normal helicopter, electrical is a very highly.
Yes, that's why charging stations, they are the vertiports जैसे हेलीपैड्स होता है ना, तो वैसे वर्टीपोर्ट्स भी हो गए इसके लैंडिंग और टेक ऑफ के लिए.
example, sir, as per technical, if any mechanical engine will come any trouble, sir, at least we have the manageable condition. But electrical will come problem, it will sudden switch off to everything.
Yes, yes.
That is a major problem.
That's why we want some kind of alternate system available immediately.
Immediately, sir.
Okay, yes. Yes, safety is the major concern basically. Never again there will be coal shortage. Coal minister himself is giving some views on the recent coal shortage that happened. If there is no coal shortage, why go in for imports? How should we read the situation? The question is being asked by the interviewer to the minister. Why we are importing coal if there is no coal shortage? The minister is explaining here that at present there is no coal shortage. Some facts are mentioned. But there was shortage due to extraordinary situation. Extraordinary situation was created due to two aspects. One, the demand for power went due to improved economic activity. But at the same time, power plants operating on import gas and coal stopped producing power because of high gas and coal prices. उन्होंने बंद कर दिया था, import करना बंद कर दिया था. Due to high coal prices and natural gas prices, these power plants were shut down. Okay, but demand increased, but the power demand increased. You can see coal prices increased from $40 per ton to $210 we can say dollar per ton in last 1 year. Also, power plants operating with blended coal, partly imported coal, stopped importing and began demanding domestic coal. So this reduced the supply of coal. Okay. Then last year, domestic coal production increased by 18%. In the first 2 months of this current financial year, production increased by 70%. Now, why we are importing? It is because the upcoming rainy season, when the mines could be waterlogged and not able to produce coal, and also affect the transportation of coal. Okay, so because of rainfall and let's say the mines may get waterlogged and therefore production may halt. Okay, so because of this situation, what we are doing is we are importing the coal and we are stocking it for use during monsoon period. Okay, so that's why we are importing. This is the reason given by minister. Then second thing, some people have expressed fears of third round of shortage. So you don't agree to happen this. Yes, basically some facts are mentioned that Coal India will ramp up its production to 780 million tons this year. And it is huge amount compared to earlier ones. Like you can see that a total 100 million metric tons or million tons of coal will be more as compared to last year. Okay, so it is more than what is, let's say, the extra demand it is there. Then we, despite of let's say global commitments for reduction in coal use, why we are using coal or increasing the use of coal? So without coal we cannot fulfill the aspirations of the country. See, we are energy hungry country, we are developing country, and because of that the focus here is on use of coal, which is immediately available and it is domestically available for us, important resource. So we cannot reduce immediately the dependence. The question is how to use coal in a manner that doesn't affect the environment or contribute to global warming. Okay, so what we can do here is clean coal technologies. Okay, clean coal technologies here in coal power plants itself, the different technologies like whatever the air pollutants that are getting into the atmosphere, they needs to be captured and stored. So capture and storage technology, carbon capture and storage, that needs to be implemented at all coal fire power plants here. Okay, then there are many ways of doing that, such as coal gasification and planting trees. So yes, again we know that afforestation is one of the method, but coal gasification is also one of the method, and through that what we can do is we can reduce the emissions. And coal gasification is covered by the production link incentive scheme of the government, which gives finance incentives for every unit of production that is sold. Okay, one of the example is Talcher project for coal gasification. that is being, we can say, emphasized here. Fine. So this is related to developments in coal sector in the country, and this is important. The reasons and some facts are mentioned. They are government facts, so you can use that directly. Rivers facing heavy pollution. Yes. So this scientific body, Center for Science and Environment, is talking about the river pollution in the country. 3 of every 4 rivers monitoring stations in India posted alarming levels of heavy toxic metals such as lead, iron, nickel, cadmium, arsenic, chromium and copper. Directly you give reference to this study. 3 out of let's say every 4 river monitoring stations. Then it is given in State of Environment Report 2022 from this institution, and India dumps 72% of its sewage without treatment. Very low level of sewage treatment happens in the country, and all that sewage water goes untreated into river bodies. Then coastline erosion is also increasing. Over the third of India's coastline that spread across this, we know 6,907 kilometers, saw some degree of erosion between last 30 years, we can say. West Bengal is the worst hit with over 60% of its shoreline under erosion. Again, we can give this example, but the reasons that are mentioned for such high level of erosion in West Bengal, the reason for coastal erosion include increase in frequency of cyclones and sea level rise and activities such as construction of harbors, beach mining and building of dams. Building of dams leads to what happens? It changes the flow of water in the river channel, and therefore the amount of sedimentation by the river affected. Okay, so overall this is resulting into, we can say, shoreline, coastline erosion. Then the global average of Ocean Health Index, a measure that looks at how sustainably humans exploit ocean resources. Ocean Health Index. Globally it has improved, but India's score in the index has declined over the same period. Okay. At the same time, very dense forests which absorb maximum carbon dioxide from the atmosphere occupy just 3% of total forest cover in the country. At present, around 24% is India's forest cover, and according to National Forest Policy 1988, we want to have this figure as 33%. Okay? Yes. Fine. National policy on biofuels, though it is in news, 10% ethanol blending goal met before the target time, we can say that, and we want to have 20% ethanol blending by 25-26 this year. Okay, so National Policy on Biofuels 2018. This policy categorizes biofuels into 3, such as basic biofuels as first generation biofuel, like bioethanol, biodiesel, they are called as advanced fuel. The second one is called as advanced fuel as second generation ethanol, municipal solid waste to drop-in fuels, MSW, second generation fuel. And third generation fuel as biofuels, bio-CNG, to enable extension of appropriate financial and fiscal incentives under each category. तो यहाँ पे categorization policy में ही है. Second thing is that it expands scope of raw material for ethanol production by allowing, इस पे question था prelims में, which of the following is allowed for ethanol production under this policy? If you are aware about previous year questions, see here, it is allowed use of sugarcane juice, sugar containing materials like sugar beet, sweet sorghum, starch containing materials like corn, cassava, damaged food grains like wheat. Let's continue. Now, policy also allows use of surplus food grains for production of ethanol for blending. So, surplus production. So, after let's say consumption for human beings, surplus production that can be also used for ethanol blend production. Then under this policy, viability gap funding scheme for 2G second generation ethanol biorefineries. They are costly refineries, so for that purpose viability gap funding is also implemented. Then policy encourages setting up of supply chain mechanism for biodiesel production. Biodiesel production, supply chain mechanism from non-edible oil seeds, used cooking oil and short gestation crops. Okay, so from that biodiesel is being produced. Now again, important for our prelims examination is these 3 generations of biofuels. Actually there are 4 generations of biofuels. I will talk about 4th one also, but this policy categorizes them as 3 generations. Yes, so first generation biofuels are called as conventional biofuels. Basically all those biofuels produced from food products. Any biofuel made from feedstock that can also be consumed as human food is considered as first generation. So human food जो होता है, consumable food, from that if it is made, that will be called as first generation. Now what is second generation? It is produced from sustainable feedstock. Sustainable feedstock, in a sense, basically it is defined by its availability and its impact on greenhouse gas emissions, its impact on land use and its potential to threaten the food supply. No second generation biofuel is also food crop. So they are not food crops. They are not food crops here. First generation fuel is food crop, while second generation is not food crop. Although certain food products that becomes, let's say, second generation fuels when they are no longer useful for consumption. Food products we are talking, not food crops. Okay, so second generation biofuels are also called as advanced biofuels. तो यहाँ पे आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जो एनिमल फीड होता है या फिर हम बोलेंगे कुछ ऑयल सीड्स होते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू कैन गिव द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ क्या बोलते हैं हम उसको, हाँ, कॉटन सीड्स यू कैन गिव द एग्जाम्पल. देन there are some plants actually which are from which basically the oil.
Sunflower oil also.
No, sunflower oil is food crop actually. Okay. Some of the plants are there उसके seeds से जो है biodiesel तैयार किया जाता है. Okay, that yes very good. Jatropha वहाँ से बायोडीजल तैयार किया जाता है. सो वेन एवर द जैट्रोपा प्लांटेशन व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट, इट इज पार्ट ऑफ दिस सेकंड जनरेशन बायोफ्यूल. इट इज नॉट फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन. ओके, देन थर्ड जनरेशन बायोफ्यूल्स आर डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम algae. Okay, so it is a separate class, especially promotion of biofuel production from algae. And also there is fourth generation. Okay, and fourth generation it talks about genetically modified organisms. Okay, genetically modified organisms from, let's say, such organisms as biofuels are produced, then that will be fourth generation. But it is not covered here under this policy. Okay, now world's first fishing cat census done in Chilica. दैट इज़ फाइन. फिशिंग कैट सेंसस हुआ है चिलिका लेक में, तो इससे समझ में आता है दैट द सब्सटेंशियल अमाउंट ऑफ पॉपुलेशन ऑफ दिस फिशिंग कैट इज फाउंड इन द लगून्स अलॉन्ग द ईस्टर्न कोस्ट, स्पेशली चिलिका लेक. अबाउट फिशिंग कैट फॉर प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन, एनवायरमेंट सेक्शन. यस, सो IUCN conservation status vulnerable. Now habitat is important here. They are largely located along the eastern Ghats region apart from Sundarbans in West Bengal and Bangladesh, and Chilika Lagoon surrounding let's say wetlands, Koringa, Krishna mangroves. So we can see that it is found in lagoon and mangroves forest, and also we can say in the forested regions of eastern Ghats. Suppose there is an option they talk about western Ghats. It is not true. Okay, then threats, habitat loss, especially wetland degradation and conversion, because wetlands are basically there habitats here, sand mining along the river banks, agriculture intensification, hunting, targeted hunting होता है वहाँ पर. Also it is found in some of the Southeast Asian countries. In Cambodia, the images of fishing cats are found carved in the walls of ancient structures. They are known as claw tray, tiger fish. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? Tiger fish, claw tray. So it is very old species, vulnerable as IUCN status. Yes. China marks new space milestone. So what they have done here now? The astronauts, 3 Chinese astronauts docked at country's space station yesterday, the state broadcaster said, marking new milestone in Beijing's drive to become the major super space power. Okay, so what is the name of that space station? Tiangong space station. Tiangong. Last year it was in news because the last module of this Tiangong space station was launched, and this will become operational by this year end. Some of the important milestone of China's space exploration here in last 20 years. Chang. Okay, so first of all is Chang 1. See, Chang is the name of probe. Chang that is given by China is moon related. Remember the names. वो कुछ तो deity का वगैरह नाम है वहाँ का, तो वो उन्होंने रखा है moon से related. Okay, so it is first lunar mission by China. Then launch of Tiangong 1, first space lab. So you can see Tiangong is space station related, right? Then first Mars orbiter Yungho launched with Russia but fails to enter Mars orbit 2011 में, ठीक है? Then in 2012 Shenzhou 9 docks with Tiangong 1, first manned docking for China's space program. Then again in 2013 you can see Chang 3 third moon probe with rover makes first soft landing on moon. It became third country to do so after US and Soviet Union. Smooth landing on moon. Then in 2016 second space lab Tiangong 2 accelerating space station plans. Then again in 2019 Chang 4 lunar probe, okay, first landing on far side of the moon. World's first landing on far side of the moon. In 2020 launch of first Mars mission Tianwen 1 carrying orbiter, lander and rover. तो ये सक्सेसफुल हुआ है वहाँ पर मार्स पे. ओके, Tianwen 1. And in 2021 this March let's say rocket Tian module into space. First 3 parts of the space station set to completed by 2022. तो ये न्यूज़ में था क्योंकि इसका डेब्रिस जो है इंडियन ओशन में गिरा था. Now this you can see in 2021 Zhurong, it was in news. The lander touches down on the Mars, third country to achieve this feat after US and Russia. ठीक है, तो Zhurong is the lander on Mars. Chang moon, Tianwen space it is on Mars. Then Tiangong is basically space station. तो ये नाम सिमिलर लगते हैं बट याद रखना है हमें एग्जाम के लिए. ओके, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस इंफॉर्मेशन हमने भी ऑप्शंस चेंज कर दिए अभी. दिस इज व्हाट यूपीएससी हैज कम अप विथ इनोवेशन इन यस्टरडेज पेपर. व्हाट इज प्रॉब्लम विद दिस?
सर तुक्केबाजी नहीं चलेगी.
वेरी गुड. यू कैनॉट यूज एलिमिनेशन मेथड हियर.
5 questions are still.
Yes, they are asking this only in match the following type of question, and that to geography. बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन थे geography के ऐसे. So what should be answer to this one then? You need to know exactly.
Only one pair is correct.
Yes, only first one is correct, right? These two are incorrect. ये ऐसे है. Tiangong is space station, Tianwen is Mars probe. So that's why answer should be A. Only one pair is correct. Okay, so here onwards also we have to practice such kind of, let's say, statement or questions, because UPSC will have some kind of, the trend will continue now, the new trend they are bringing. Yes, any question?
If you given this type, we need to mug up the answers. Otherwise, there is no.
No, you need to know exact information. You cannot use elimination method, otherwise it will be wrong. If you use logic to solve this question, it will be wrong. ठीक है, तो स्कोप कम हो जाता है आपका. Okay, let us stop then. Fine.